Looking for a good investment on your hard-earned money? Planning to invest on properties? What are your considerations in acquiring lands and properties? Higher place to avoid flood? Away from fault line? Is it safe from volcanic hazard? Safe from other hazards and other natural calamities? HazardHunterPH can help you. HazardHunterPH, that can be accessed from hazardhunter.geohazards.gov.ph, could be calls is the country's one-stop shop hazard assessment website. It can be used to find out more about the location if the place is near fault line or volcanoes, or if the areas are prone to typhoon and floods. Through the effort of the different agencies of the Philippine government, the hazard information that were gathered have been put together in one place that is easy to use and just a click away. Hazard Hunter can generate reports that are useful not just for those in the engineering profession and construction industry, but also to the personal owners and prospective buyers of lands and properties to avoid those areas which are prone to different environmental risks. Want to learn more about Hazard Hunter? Stay tuned for the discussion. But first, don't forget to like, subscribe our page and click the notification bell button for more updates. We could open HazardHunterPH in 3 steps. Open your browser and type Hazard Hunter. Click this description. Click the map, view its interface. What is Hazard Hunter? HazardHunterPH is a tool that can be used to generate indicative hazard assessment reports on the user's specified location. It is helpful as a reference of property owners, buyers, land developers, planners, and other stakeholders needing immediate hazard information and assessment. It aims to increase people's awareness to natural hazards and advocates the implementation of plans to prepare for and mitigate the effects of hazards. What is HazardHunterPH and what can it do? It is one of the applications developed under GeoRiskPH. HazardHunterPH is a web application with a map interface that allows the user to quickly and easily generate hazards assessment reports of the user's selected location on the map. Its functions include: find out if a location is prone to seismic, volcanic, or hydrometeorological hazards. Generate hazard assessment reports with explanations and recommendations. See which areas in the Philippines are prone to different hazards. Display exposure of schools, hospitals, and roads to various hazards. View up-to-date hazard information from mandated government agencies. HazardHunterPH interface. First is the longitude and latitude coordinates. In this selection, you could input the coordinates respectively to get its accurate location on the map. This is very helpful if the site is away from any landmarks or known locations stored in the map. Latitude is the measurement of distance north or south of the equator. It is measured with 180 imaginary lines that form circles around the Earth east-west, parallel to the equator. These lines are known as parallels. A circle of latitude is an imaginary ring linking all points sharing a parallel. Longitude is the measurement east or west of the prime meridian. Longitude is measured by imaginary lines that run around the Earth vertically, up and down, and meet at the north and south poles. These lines are known as meridians. ESRI base maps. The ESRI Maps and Data Group focuses on providing general-purpose base maps and reference layers, such as imagery, streets, topography, and boundaries, as well as useful thematic layers, such as demographics, which can support a wide variety of applications. These are the following ESRI maps that could be found on HazardHunterPH. Nat Geo Map. Maps documented by the Nat Geo Company. This company, well known for articles about scenery, history, and the most distant corners of the world, the magazine has been recognized for its book-like quality and its standard of photography. This map shows particular data that is stored on its company on the selected location. Topographic Map. A topographic map is a detailed and accurate illustration of man-made and natural features on the ground such as roads, railways, power transmission lines, contours, elevations, rivers, lakes, and geographical names. Delorme. The map accurately portrays major transportation layers, inland and shoreline hydrography, agreed and disputed jurisdiction boundaries, and major geographic features. Satellite imagery. The satellite can provide a shot of the target area, for example, the site of a construction project, when needed. Another reason to use satellite imagery is for multispectral analysis. Multispectral imagery can capture light from frequencies beyond the visible light range, such as infrared. Street map. A street map is a map that primarily displays roads and transport links rather than natural geographical information. It is a type of navigational map that commonly includes political boundaries and labels, making it also a type of political map. Geohazards. The word geohazard comes from two words. Geo, from the word geological meaning from the earth. Hazard, a situation that poses a risk to property, environment, or life. So geohazards means the risk of damage caused by a geological process. Geohazard could be classified as follows: seismic/earthquake, volcanic, hydrometeorological. Seismic/earthquake hazards. Earthquakes are usually caused when rock underground suddenly breaks along a fault. This sudden release of energy causes the seismic waves that make the ground shake. During the earthquake and afterward, the plates or blocks of rock start moving, and they continue to move until they get stuck again. Under seismic, earthquake, hazards are active faults, fissures, earthquake-induced landslides, liquefaction, tsunami. Active fault. An active fault is a fault that is likely to become the source of another earthquake sometime in the future. Under fixed variables, the nearer your location on the active fault, the stronger the earthquake force is acted on the structure. This is an example of earthquake that was caught on camera. Fissures. A narrow opening or crack of considerable length and depth, usually occurring from some breaking or parting of fissure in the Earth's crust. Volcanic now recommends avoiding construction within 5 meters on each side of a fault trace, or a total width of 10 meters. We may call this the ideal 10-meter wide no-build zone in the vicinity of a fault. Ideally, we should not build in the 10-meter wide no-build zone to avoid the hazard of ground fissure. This is an example of fissure that was caught on camera. Earthquake-induced landslides. Earthquake shaking can cause landsliding on many scales, as some of these examples show. An earthquake can cause a slope to become unstable by the inertial loading it imposes or by causing a loss of strength in the slope materials. This is an example of earthquake-induced landslides that was caught on camera. Liquefaction. Liquefaction is a phenomenon in which the strength and stiffness of a soil is reduced by earthquake shaking or other rapid loading. Liquefaction and related phenomena have been responsible for tremendous amounts of damage in historical earthquakes around the world. This is an example of liquefaction that was caught on satellite camera. Tsunami. A tsunami is a series of powerful ocean surges caused by a large volume of the ocean floor being displaced, often by an undersea earthquake or landslide. Most tsunamis are similar to very strong, fast tides, rather than waves. The larger ones can travel a long way inland. Much of the damage from tsunamis is caused by the erosion generated by the strong currents and floating debris. This is an example of tsunami that was caught on camera. Volcanic hazards. When magma reaches the Earth's surface, a volcano is formed. A volcano will erupt pieces of rock and magma, ash, and release steam and gases. Ash from eruptions can spread over large distances, so can affect people living a long way from the eruption. Hazards can also happen close to active vents. Under volcanic hazards are active and potentially active volcanoes. Inactive volcanoes. Volcanic tsunami. Lahar. Lava flow. Ballistic projectile. Volcanic tsunamis. Volcanic tsunamis can result from violent submarine explosions. They can also be caused by caldera collapses, tectonic movement from volcanic activity, flank failure into a water source, or pyroclastic flow discharge into the sea. Lahars. Lahar is an Indonesian word that describes a volcanic mud flow. When moving, a lahar looks like a mass of wet concrete that carries rock debris. Lahars vary in size and speed and can cause widespread damage. Eruptions may trigger lahars by quickly melting snow and ice on a volcano or ejecting water from a crater lake. Lahars are also formed by heavy rainfall during or after an eruption, when volcanic ash is washed off the volcano. Some of the largest lahars begin as landslides. Lava flow. Because lava flows are extremely hot, between 1000 to 2000 degrees Celsius, 1800 to 3600 degrees Fahrenheit, they can cause severe burns and often burn down vegetation and structures. Lava flowing from a vent also creates enormous amounts of pressure, which can crush or bury whatever survives being burned. Ballistic projectile. Ballistic projectiles are rocks that an erupting volcano may hurl into the air. These blocks and bombs travel like cannonballs and usually land within 2 kilometers of the vent, but can travel as far as 5 kilometers, or even further, if the eruption is very explosive. Pyroclastic surges. This turbulent cloud of gases and rock debris moves above the ground surface at great speeds. Pyroclastic surges form in a similar way to pyroclastic flows, but their effects are more widespread since they may also sweep across ridges and hills as well as down valleys. A hot pyroclastic surge can cause death from suffocation, inhalation of poisonous gases, and severe burns. Pyroclastic surges from Mt. Pelée completely destroyed the town of Saint-Pierre in Martinique in 1902. Killing about 30,000 people. This is an example of a volcanic eruption that was caught on camera. Meteorological hazards. Meteorological hazards are weather-related events, such as floods, droughts, landslides, tides, sea level rise, wind, snow, frost, extreme temperature, hail, lightning, and fire. Under meteorological hazards are flood, rain-induced landslide, storm surge, flood. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. Floods are an area of study in the discipline of hydrology. They are the most common and widespread natural severe weather event. Floods can look very different because flooding covers anything from a few inches of water to several feet. They can also come on quickly or build gradually. To better answer the question of what is a flood, we'll answer what each specific type of flooding event is. Rain-induced landslide. Rainfall-induced landslides are a common occurrence in terrain with steep topography and soils that have degradable strength. Rainfall infiltration into a partially saturated slope of infinite extent can lead to either a decrease or complete elimination of soil suction, compromising the slope's stability. Storm surge. Storm surge is always a result of meteorological storms that cause higher than normal tides on the coast. There are three parts of a storm that create this surge. They are wind, waves, low atmospheric pressure. This is an example of a storm surge that was caught on camera. Wind speed. Strong winds are due to a strong pressure gradient force. A pressure gradient is how fast pressure changes over distance. So, when pressure changes rapidly over a small distance, the pressure gradient force is large. Strong winds almost always result from large pressure gradients. Return period. A return period, also known as a recurrence interval or repeat interval, is an average time or an estimated average time between events such as earthquakes, floods, landslides, or a river discharge flows to occur. The inverse of probability, generally expressed in percent, it gives the estimated time interval between events of a similar size or intensity. For example, the return period of a flood might be 100 years, otherwise expressed as its probability of occurring being 1/100, or 1% in any 1 year. This does not mean that if a flood with such a return period occurs, then the next will occur in about 100 years' time. Instead, it means that, in any given year, there is a 1% chance that it will happen, regardless of when the last similar event was. Or, put differently, it is 10 times less likely to occur than a flood with a return period of 10 years, or a probability of 10%. HazardHunterPH also provides location of nearest critical facilities as follows: public schools, health facilities, road networks, safe open spaces, boundaries up to the Baranai level. These facilities could be used as evacuation sites and routes in the event the hazards mentioned above occurs. Advanced layers. These additional layers are used by the structural engineers to get an initial data when calculation the earthquake force of the structure. The higher the acceleration g, the higher the earthquake force. Take note that these data are just for verification and initial assumption and should be verified by an actual soil/geotechnical investigation on the specific site. Unless otherwise stated, HazardHunterPH and/or its licensors own the intellectual property rights for all material on HazardHunterPH. All intellectual property rights are reserved. You may view and/or print pages from https://hazardhunter.georisk.gov.ph for your own personal use subject to restrictions set in these terms and conditions. In conclusion, Hazard Hunter is a useful platform that we could make use of. Safety is an important factor to consider in order to protect lives and property. Whether you are planning to purchase or construct your dream house, or you want to invest and start your own business, make sure that you are able to assess the environmental hazards that come with your prospective or present property. Hazard Hunter can help you in making that assessment. Stay safe. If find this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe our page and click the notification bell button for more updates. You have topics in mind that you want to be discussed, just comment down below. Once again, this is A Talks.